the first ever cover girl, supermodel cover girl. She was the first ever. Bizarre magazine.
Set up. On the left, we have the general manager of Bobby Vance Downtown, Tim Collins, and on the right, we have distinguished political consultant, generally on the Republican side, E. O'Brien Murray. We like to call him Obie. And everybody is talking about this resolution that is making its way through the House today, which has to do with limiting the president's ability to go to war with Iran. And it's not just Democrats. Now, it is going to pass a Democratic House today, as expected, but Senator Mike Lee and Senator Rand Paul, both Republicans, and especially in Rand Paul's case, generally a Trump supporter, they say that they're all for this. This was Mike Lee yesterday. Have a look.
These powers are not ours. They don't belong to any of us. But when we allow them to be exercised through the wrong branches of government, with the wrong process, when you don't have debate and discussion, you don't allow the process itself to correct itself for the American people who will be most affected by these decisions to weigh in. That was insulting. That was demeaning to the process ordained by the Constitution, and I find it completely unacceptable.
So, Tim, let me begin with you. I know you've generally been a critic of President Trump's. Where do you stand on this resolution and the whole situation with Iran in general?
Well, the situation with Iran in general, I believe, was a crisis of Trump's own making. I mean, we are not seeing any evidence that there was an imminent threat. They're saying now that, the embassy was going to be bombed, but they've been very in the dark. It's been a very slippery slope they're going down. I mean, I don't know if it was just me, but we were in a very precarious spot in terms of, unleashing another very costly and long war that would have been had very steep costs for this country and the world.
Let's talk about cost. The billions of dollars that we gave to Iran under Obama paid for a lot of the damage. I'll let you speak. It's paid for the damage that this man inflicted on our men and women in combat, number one. Number two, he already had done things to the United States and our embassies and led the attack on our embassy in Iran. If that wasn't enough to get him out of the world, God bless him, goodbye. Because that's what he deserved. And this day forward, you mess with the U.S., you mess with this president, we're coming after you.
No one said that this guy was a good guy. Nobody. No Democrat, no Republican.
I didn't say you did either.
He was a despicable human being. The money that was given to Iran, not $1 came out of United States taxpayers' pockets.
They were U.S. dollars we delivered on a plane in pallets.
It was the Iranians' money that we confiscated.
And we gave it to them because they were nice guys?
Because that's what you do in diplomacy. There's give and take. Yeah, in order to move forward, the only way is not
the number one opponent of Donald Trump and this plan right now is Ben Rhodes, who created this whole Iranian plan. And Donald Trump said yesterday in that speech, number one, under his presidency, Iran will not have nuclear capabilities. That's a fact. That's the line he drew. President Obama was trying to be so nice and embrace him, and while he did that, our troops got killed, got injured. They got put in harm's way by Iran.
Look, this guy Soleimani was leading all these proxy fights and killing a lot of Americans.
Look, he was a terrible human being. There's no question about it.
But there has to be a period after that sentence. You know, he's a terrible human being. He has American blood on his hands. Period. Everything I see on the left-wing media, there's a comma there that says, but we're not sure if it was imminent.
What's the next move? The next move is to make a giant list, starting with perhaps Trump's buddy Kim. We'll kill him. We'll just keep killing.
I don't know.
Right?
Should we do that?
We'll just kill him. He's an enemy.
Obama killed like 2,800 people.
We just kill every general we don't like?
There are enemies, but when they come after the United States, he had just done the week before, came after our embassies.
Killed an
American. If they come out and kill Americans, they need to be taken a look at in that kind of way. And their organizations that are terrorist organizations cannot be left to grow and prosper in the world of terrorism. That's what must be stopped.
Tim, let me ask you this. Maybe there's a silver lining to this, right? Because what happened is because of Trump's preemptive action, I think he projected strength, but the Iraqi parliament voted to expel U.S. troops, and the prime minister said he agrees with them and get over.
Right.
So you would have to agree. That's a wonderful thing for America if we bring our troops home. So the collateral effect is maybe we take our troops out of there.
Well, certainly that's the goal in the long term, but we don't want to leave a situation in which ISIS is left on the battlefield, left to foment the holdovers that are still there. You know who's getting what they really want out of all these relevant
Say
facts?
ISIS.
Russia.
Oh, Russia.
Russia. Who comes in the end?
Leaving-
Russia comes in. Who wins? Iran wins because now they essentially take control of Iraq. You know, Iraq had two choices. They could either side with us or they could side with Iran. And now that we're proving to be a very, very tepid ally, they're choosing their
I think
partner.
we should
Bringing
get
our
out of
troops
there.
home, bringing our troops home would be fabulous. Okay?
Speaking of winning-
but we want to leave on our own terms. I was in the Army. I was never in combat, but I was at Fort Bliss when the men and women came back. Back in '92.
Were you
the
in?
Patriots.
Were you
I was
ever-
never in combat.
I know, but were you in combat with Senator
was never in
Blumenthal?
He was
Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut.
Never-
apparently,
I tell the truth, I was never in combat.
Yeah, a good one. Now, speaking of winning in the Middle East, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about who's going to win this crazy Democratic primary process. You got Bloomberg coming in, firing cash from all over the place. You got Buttigieg, who everybody keeps saying he's a sweetheart, he's a darling, he's this, he's that. He can't break 7% in the polls. 66% of the people who said they were voting for Bernie said they were enthusiastic about it. 49% of the people who said, Democrats who said they were voting for Biden, said they were enthusiastic about it. I think they have an enthusiasm problem. on
Real
this
clear politics. We talk numbers. This is a Wall Street show. Number one, Bloomberg at this point has an average of 5.8. He is fifth. Biden, Sanders, Warren, Buttigieg, Bloomberg. That is amazing considering how short he's been in this race. And at the end of the day, when you look at these other men and women that are in front of him, Warren being the only woman right now, you get to Super Tuesday. He is the one with a pile of cash. They will all be drained. They're going to spend their money in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina. Who's going to be left standing to go after him, or he's going to be going after from Super Tuesday on is going to be amazing.
It's something to see that I think it would be a first where you have a candidate that essentially is not even on the ballot in the first states to come into Super Tuesday with having had no support whatsoever.
And
in the
everybody
previous
talks
states.
about Rudy Giuliani when
Man,
he
it's
did this, a former mayor of New York. But what Rudy's problem was how to stay relevant between the first primaries and when he was going to be ready in Florida in his case. And in that time, the campaign didn't stick to their plan. They actually spent money and sent their people to New Hampshire, didn't do well, got to Florida, wasn't rested, didn't have the money, and and that was the problem.
I think the key difference is he didn't have an aircraft carrier full of money.
Well,
I mean,
and
that's
no question.
really
There is
that is a mover.
The next Democratic debate is in 5 days. There's a fundraising deadline. They've been releasing their money reports now. That's coming out now in the next 21 days. 25 days to Iowa caucus, and then another debate, and then another debate, and then Super Tuesday. 3 debates, and you have 53 days between now and Super Tuesday. They're going to run out of money, and Mayor Bloomberg won't.
Wow. What do you think, Tim? You think Bloomberg's got a chance?
You know, I don't see it, but just because he's not on the public writ large is on their radar to begin with. And I think he does very poorly in a lot of these Super Tuesday states. I mean, he doesn't have the African American vote. He might be very disliked because of the otherness of being from New York. I think he's going to struggle mightily. He's not going to have the benefit of winning in New Hampshire, Iowa, Nevada. He's not going to have that.
So you have Iowa, you've got New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina.
The fact that Biden,
four states. If no one Democrat that's on there right now, Buttigieg, Warren, Sanders at this point, and Biden, if none of those pick up 2 or 3 of those states, he's got a clear shot at anything.
He's got a chance. I would agree with you there, but that has to happen. And right now, Joe Biden's polling within the margin of error in New Hampshire, a state that Bernie Sanders lives 10 miles from. You know, that's a very bad sign. If you live in the neighboring state and you're not winning that state, that's a
But you've also got Warren
who's also from a neighboring state.
They got it surrounded.
And not to mention the fact, I think these two are really doing Joe Biden a big favor because they're courting from the same voter bloc, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's two sides of the same coin.
Bernie seems to have some
if you took
strength,
their
yeah.
votes together, Biden would be in real trouble. They both need to hang in there for Biden to get to these African American states in the South and then blow it out. I think that's his big strategy right there, and that has to happen.
Biden doesn't have the money. where's he going to get the money to be competitive against Warren and Sanders?
You saw you made $22 million in the last quarter, and that's a big uptick. And I think that once people see that the inevitable is going to happen, that's when the big money is going to pile on. I mean, it could come fast and furious. Unlike other candidates, he's not getting it from a gazillion small donors.
Yeah.
He's going to get it from the big pots of money.
But the Warren,
Bloomberg's got the biggest pot.
The Warren and Sanders
It
voters
does.
aren't going to start donating to him. They're not going to, like Bernie Sanders stands up and says, go to my
I think
website.
this
I think the one thing with Bloomberg, just to interrupt you, I'm sorry, John, the one thing that American Democrats you can count on is their appetite for a New York big city businessman is over.
Low.
Low.
We're gonna end it on low. We're gonna get low. My final analogy is this: I had a failed business enterprise where we combined a knish and a hot dog, and it was called the Coney Combo, and it was delicious. And we were selling like mad in New York, and when we tried to sell it across the rest of the country, it was a colossal failure. So I think outside of New York, Mike Bloomberg might be a Coney Combo. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a very good way to put it.
On that note, you go get yourself a Gabilla Knish and a spread hot dog, shove the dog in the Knish, and you're going to love it. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with some news of the day. My brother Derek's the man on the street, and I think we even have the naked cowboy on a freezing day in New York right after this.